Hello and welcome back to the Watford Way. Today we look ahead to Watford versus Rotherham at Vicarage Road this weekend. I'm James, if you're new around here, welcome to the Watford Way. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, leave a like on the video and let me know your score predictions also in the comments section down below. And I'll come to my score prediction at the end of the video. And I've been pretty good with my score predictions so far this season, so let's see if that materialises against Rotherham this weekend at Vicarage Road. And of course, it's the last game before, again, another international break. For me, I hate international football apart from the major tournaments. I find it really dull, really boring, especially when England have to qualify against vastly inferior teams where pretty much we're going to beat them each time. And yeah, it's just a long, laborious process for me. And it's the third international break already this season. I think it's the last one before Christmas, and I think we've got another one in March, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, a bit frustrating that it keeps halting Watford's season. But yeah, this should be the last one for a little while. At least I believe it is anyway. But yeah, Watford facing Rotherham on Saturday. I'll come on to them in just a moment. But first, we'll talk about Watford's last game against Huddersfield Town. And actually, for me, I was quite disappointed, I was quite let down and quite dissatisfied actually at the performance Watford put out. I thought the draw against Millwall, 2-2 at home previously, that was a decent result. Millwall, we've always struggled against in recent seasons, but I thought the actual draw, the 2-2 draw, was probably deserved, and actually we could have won the game at times as well. And to go from that performance to what was really the most boring game I've ever watched against Huddersfield Town was really disappointing, especially when we had a lot of talent come off the bench as well. And I'm going to read you Watford's substitute bench from that game now, just to show you that pretty much everyone was available. No players were suspended. No player had a major injury. Every player was available for selection by Valérien Ismaël. And I don't think he utilised the squad the way he should have. I think firstly, we'll talk about the formation. Again, we stuck with the three players in midfield, and I thought against Huddersfield Town they had a big injury crisis. Not a lot of their major first team players were available. I think they played 7 defenders on the pitch, a lot of players behind the ball. They didn't really offer any attacking output whatsoever during the game. And for some reason we stuck with Jake Livermore in that defensive midfield position, when for me, you look at the options Watford had on the bench, we could have committed a couple of players further forward, absolutely, to kind of influence the game, getting the ball, because Watford this season have dominated possession. But what frustrates me the most is when a team dominates possession and they don't do anything with it. It's all well and good when you have 70, 80% possession, right? And you're creating opportunities every couple of minutes. But Watford, I don't think in my mind anyway, created any big clear-cut opportunity against Huddersfield. I'd much rather Watford had 30% possession and won that game rather than having 70% possession and not creating anything whatsoever. It's wasted time on the ball. Yes, I suppose in Valérien Ismaël's eyes, the opposition don't have the ball and therefore they can't influence the game. But if we're not going to do anything with it while we have the ball, I don't quite understand what his thinking is in that instance. So if we look at Watford's bench that face Huddersfield, not talking about the starting 11, just the bench, with Ryan Porteous on the bench, Mleta Rajovic, Imran Louza, arguably Watford's most talented player, was on the bench for this Huddersfield Town game. Ismail Kone, who'd just come into some good form, was on the bench for some reason. Reece Healey, again, a striker who has scored loads of goals in his past couple of seasons, on the bench. He's not been given a big opportunity this season. Matty Pollock, Matthias Martins, Ryan Andrews, all on the bench as well. I was slightly baffled by his team selection, I've got to be honest. I just thought we could be a little bit more adventurous. That would be really nice if he could have done that. And for me, it was a missed opportunity against Huddersfield to pick up the 3 points. Yes, you could argue from another perspective that Watford are 5 games unbeaten, which I suppose is a good thing in some sense. But equally, I'm getting quite bored watching this football now. The side-to-side passing, especially between the two centre-backs. Wesley Hoot is a big culprit of it. He picks up the ball. Occasionally, he'll pick out a really good long pass. But the majority of the time, it's sideways passing. And we don't really go anywhere up the pitch whatsoever. So I think against Rotherham this weekend, they've had equally a poor start to the season as well. It's got to change. We've got to be more adventurous, especially playing at home in front of our own fans. In terms of Rotherham's last game, they actually played last night against Ipswich Town, who have been flying this season. And they picked up a really good 2-2 draw against Ipswich. I believe Rotherham were at home last night as well. And And I watched the game actually, and I was very surprised at what Rotherham offered, especially going forward. I've been quite pessimistic, especially about the teams below Watford this season. Probably being a bit naive actually. I probably think Watford are better than we are. But yeah, Rotherham surprised me. Some of their attacking play in moments was really, really good. And it's made me quite concerned actually going into this game this weekend. I thought it would be a pretty comfortable Watford win. Am I being a bit naive there? I probably am. But after watching them last night against Ipswich Town, who I said have been flying this season, yeah, I'm getting very concerned ahead of the game. Now, what Watford team would I like to see line up? I think at home you have to go for it. I think at home is where Watford have had the majority of our success so far this season. Yes, we picked up that good win away at Swansea, finally breaking our away day curse. But I think at home we have to utilise the home support, and especially second half when we attack the rookery end as well. I think that's where Watford have had some of their key moments this season. We've scored a lot of late goals. Rivich has scored a couple of injury time winners. Ryan Andrews scoring as well in injury time. So I think towards the end of games and utilising our bench, I think that's where Watford's squad has come into its own this season. Does Yassir Asprilla start? Is he better off the bench? I don't know. I can't quite make my mind up on Yassir Asprilla. I do want him to start week in, week out, but equally, when he comes on against tired legs, he does make such an impact as well. So should Yassir Asprilla start? I'm going to go no and bring him off the bench. Does Imran Louza deserve to start after a few weeks on the bench? I think he does. And actually, I think you maybe move Jake Livermore to the bench and maybe move Ismail Kone into a deeper position and play Louza and Kayembe slightly further up. There's a lot to do in that midfield. We've got a lot of players in that position specifically. It's probably our strongest position in the entirety of the Watford team, the midfield. So yeah, I'd probably bring Imran Louza back in just to add a bit more creativity. And yeah, Matthias Martins, again, arguably our player of the season so far, but he was on the bench for the Huddersfield game and only come on in the 87th minute, which again, I think was a poor call by Valerian Ismail, bringing on arguably one of our best players this season, trying to win the game, but it brings him on in the 87th minute. I couldn't quite work out the logic behind that decision. But for me, I still feel confident with 5 games unbeaten. I think that can only be viewed as a positive, really. Yes, I arguably wanted more points in that run of 5 games. And we've got a very tough run coming up after the international break, playing the likes of Leicester. I think we've got Southampton, Norwich coming up as well. So it's going to be really tough after the international break, and Watford need to pick up the points now, just in case we go on a bad run after the break. So for me personally, do I think Watford will win this weekend? I certainly hope so. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Watford win, and I'm going to go with Vacuum Bio and Imran Louza with the goals in this one. So let me know your score predictions in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe to The Watford Way as well. It'd be very much appreciated. And I'll catch you again for our match reaction after the game on Saturday. Bye-bye.